The second thing I'd like to point out is a feature of my classroom arrangement that takes into consideration my students' needs, is the fact that each of these rows is pushed up all the way to the back wall of the classroom. Now, something I've noticed over the years is that 7th and 8th grade students are extremely squirrely. And I used to get really frustrated about that and assume that my students were just poorly trained. Their parents never make them sit through a whole meal longer than 5 minutes or something like that. And perhaps there's an element of truth to this. It's what inspired my classroom rule, rule number 3, to say remain seated unless you are directed to do otherwise. But I've also learned to understand that the students are squirrely because they have what's called low proprioception. Proprioception is the sense that one has of their body in space. It's what allows your mind to know how tall you are, how heavy you are, how long your limbs are. And it's what allows someone to be more or less athletic or coordinated. And I've learned that the students have, the 7th and 8th graders have a very low sense of proprioception, and it's not their fault. It's because their body's growth is outpacing their mind's growth. And squirreliness is just a result of their subconscious, their nervous system, and their bodies and their muscles and their bones to all want to work together to figure out how big their bodies are. That's why they're so gangly and awkward. Okay, and the reason why the desks need to be arranged in this way is because it allows the students the ability to push up, brace themselves, especially the legs, right? I notice that my students are constantly fidgeting with their legs and pushing. And if the desks aren't braced up against the wall that way, what you end up are rows of desks and chairs that move all over the place, and it gets to be kind of unsafe. The rows start to get crooked, and there's less space to walk through. The students start to feel encroached upon. Karen Tomlinson mentions you can't have the students sit too close together, otherwise some of them are going to start to feel threatened. So, pushing up the desks against the back wall was one of the most important features to consider for the arrangement of my furniture.